Hey there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. This is my complete beginner's guide to Ostranauts, and we're working with the Build 14 version of the game. That one it has been out for a while, but currently we're in the middle of 2025, and it does look like it's going to be a bit of time yet before 15 comes out. I had kind of intended to wait until 15 came out because there are some really serious changes coming with that. But the developer announced recently that there's not a really solid ETA for when that's going to happen. So I thought we'd go ahead and get this started again. And the game's getting a little bit of attention again lately. So for those of you who, see these things and are like, oh, that looks cool, but I want to know more, I'm hoping this tutorial can kind of help you out with understanding some of the complexities of it. It is a pretty difficult game to play initially anyway. And once you get into it, though, it really does sail. It's it's a fun game to play. And for now, we're trying to put together some thoughts on the way to do different things. So what we're going to do right now is, in the previous episode, we talked a little bit about some of the in-between stuff that we would need to do. And it turns out I went ahead and I was going to go try to find a ship to salvage. And the very first one I picked was a solid ship. And I'm like, okay, that's just, I don't know, that's luck, I guess. But it occurred to me that like getting to the ship in that, we covered it once, but we didn't talk a whole lot about the overall navigation in the game. We talked more about doing stuff while you're flying between places. So I thought I would go ahead. I reloaded the save from there, basically from where we ended the last episode. And I had my little dude cleaning a little bit and doing some restore. But other than that, we're exactly where we stopped. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to that ship. Now, again, one thing to note is the universe is randomly created every time you start a new game. So your mileage will vary from what I've got. But a couple of things that kind of popped to mind here that I'm going to want to do. So I'm actually I'm hoping it's this one. I think it's this one. It was the first one I picked. I couldn't believe it. But we're going to head to this one. Hopefully that's the one. And we'll see what happens there. So first of all, we don't have to hail. That's me. I didn't need to do that. See if we can get back to the main menu here. Could click that. We are already docked. And when we come in and dock info is here, we can click that and request clearance to undock. And that works pretty quickly. Now, if everything is good, we'll get a green. And the reason you may not get a green is if you owe fees. If you owe fees, they may say, hey, you got to go pay your bills first. Won't let you leave till you pay your bills. Okay, that's fair, but that's something to pay attention to. To pay your bills, you simply click on Player Finance, and I think I had done this at some point while I was doing some cleanup. I clicked on it, and you'll have a button here that says pay these bills, and it would be the things like Port Authority. You want to pay all those. So I accidentally paid my mortgage again. I'm going to keep doing that, I think, for a while. But nonetheless, here we are. Let's jump in here. We already asked for clearance, and then I got out of the pilot seat there. So we should be good to go. Maybe not. Yeah, it kept that clearance. That's good. So then we want to back away. I'm using S to back away a little bit. We can switch over to this view to see it a little better. You can see my impulses going there. And then I'm going to use right. So this is the D key for most folks. And that's going to start pushing the ship this way. Now, right now, it's technically going this way. By the way, that line is not related. And then we're going to start moving forward some. And you'll see this start to wrap around. And we want to start getting momentum in this direction. And there we go. So as we can see, we're moving this way now. And again, this line isn't related. I think the line there probably points to the sun. That's my guess. We zoom way out. Yep, that line points pretty much directly to the sun. So, by the way, this is our universe that we can play with. As you can see, there is a lot of stuff here, and we're still zooming out, right? We can go all the way to Bowie or Sedna. I think those are like probably asteroids or comets, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't been to any of these places. But that's 79 astronomical units to get out to there. So this Venus, Uranus. Okay, so there's Uranus. And then this will be Neptune, and then next would be Pluto if we could find it. I don't know how well it is represented in the game. It is probably there, but I'm not going to spend the time looking for it. We're going to fly to our new destination. We need to get set up for that. I got to zoom in here. So we kind of approximated the direction to go, but we're barely moving. And we'll currently never get there. Well, we'll get there in 8 years. That's not a good plan. So we need to match the bearing correctly. So right now, let's see. Why is that? We're not turned the wrong way. Oh, because I clicked on Orcus. This is no longer my target here. I want to click this again. There we go. That makes more sense. So our bearing is 69. So we're going to come right and line this up. And then there were a couple of little things on here that are they're noteworthy, and we're going to talk about theirs. I'm going to kill my cross velocity as much as possible, and then I'm just going to accelerate to about 100 meters per second. That'll give me about 10 minutes at normal time, and we will speed that up to pick up the pace some. And you can correct this. The closer you get this number, the closer you'll end up nailing the target dead center. The thing about that, though, is obviously you can spend way too much time trying to fine-tune it, and really close enough is close enough for now. So I turned time down to 1/4 of a second so that my impulses weren't too long to really jerk the ship around. So we're in good shape now, doing 106 meters per second towards it. It's 65 kilometers away. That means 10 minutes out. So we'll pick time back up now to normal. Well, okay, here's what I wanted to talk about. You start here, and this is your initial universe, and then you have all of these derelicts, or at least these ships. This is the boneyard that are around it that you can go and explore. And there actually are more than you can see here. You can only see what you have knowledge of at any particular time. So that's kind of important to know. And you will start to get names and numbers for these. I have it set to alternate between name and call sign. And you'll become familiar with some of the names because you'll visit it. And perhaps if we visit this ship, we'll learn that the 7th letter is, I don't know, a freighter that we maybe want to take a look at. But we will continue to get names and data on it. And as we approach new ones, we'll get more specific information as we get close enough. But in general, the question mark means you don't really know anything about it yet. And so that's why we go, right? We're explorers. So we're going to head to this and take a look at it. Of course, I do know what to expect because, rewinding here, of course. But this will be a very nice ship for us to start with. You do want to try to find larger ships because they have more expensive stuff on them. It's just kind of that simple. But this is the other thing I want to tell you. This station is in motion. It is moving around this asteroid counterclockwise. So when I'm going out and looking for new ships, I want to plan a trajectory to get home that is as much of a straight line as possible that doesn't pass through the asteroid. So I will often, like when I come out here, I might head down this way if I expect I'm going to spend an hour, because this is going to move to here-ish over time, maybe in an hour or so. I actually don't know exactly how fast it goes, but it goes around. And if you spend enough time, all of a sudden the station's on the other side and you have to plot a course around it. And it's not exciting. So that is just something to kind of know that everything is in motion. In fact, if we click off, we can see if you just click in the middle of nothing and you're set to tracking mode ship, it's that spot is actually constant. That's how fast we're moving through the universe right now, or through the solar system. That thing is all the way here now, and as you can see, it's 600 kilometers away. It is moving very, very quickly away from us in that direction. Now, because of orbital mechanics, everything that is in this orbit around the sun and is moving in this general direction, we're all going roughly the same speed because we're roughly the same distance from the mass. And so when we click on an individual ship, we don't see a lot of shift in those numbers. We do see some, and of course we're moving right now, so there's always going to be a relative speed difference. But in general, we don't see them drifting because we're moving at the same speed as them. So a couple of things to know. The planet, or the asteroid, I will refer to it as a planet constantly. Forgive me for that. But the asteroid Ganymede here is separate from the station itself. You'll notice our range is 51 and growing, now 52. But if we click the station, we're much closer, 50. So it's about 2 kilometers from the center here. This is about 4 kilometers across. Well, I think it's actually a little more than that. 54 down to 52. I don't know, maybe not. So just one other thing to kind of pay a little bit of attention to. Well, this is 50 kilometers. Oh, wait, no, it's not. This is 20 kilometers. So there's probably a little more distance here than I'm giving it credit for, but nonetheless, it might be, oh, you know what? It is probably measuring it to the closest edge. So this is probably 2 kilometers removed from the surface of the asteroid. That would make some sense. All right. Well, I've been talking for close to 5 minutes there. We're about to dock. And if you followed my previous series at all, you know that I am not good at talking and docking at the same time. So I will try to talk through it, but I will liberally use the space bar. And there will be little blank periods of silence there while I'm kind of making sure I'm lined up in that. Right now, we're almost in the 10-kilometer range. Once we get to 5, we'll get an alert. And if we had time zoomed, which we do, we're at 2 times, it'll drop to 1 when that alert goes off. So that's good. For now, I'm going to slow down on my own. Actually, I'm in really good shape. We're in less than 1/10 of a degree off, and we're within 1/10 of a meter per second. We're in really super shape right now. So we'll go ahead and pick that back up to 2 times, 3 times, or well, 8 times. And boom, it is warning us that we're getting close. So we're going to hit this and we're going to immediately start decelerating. We're at 1 time speed. I'm going to decelerate even while I'm clicking through here because I want to be down to about 40 just to be safe. I've stopped now, but ultimately you can do that and you should do that. We're at 47, so that's good. And we're lined up pretty well because we came in pretty close on it. These numbers here, this is the bearing. You control that with Q and E with the default keyboard setup. And the cross velocity, you control those with A and D. Then your relative velocity to your target is controlled through W and S. So S will slow me down, W will speed me up, and then we have some side to side. Now the graphic is a great way to get close. I have started using these numbers more, and then I also really screw up badly sometimes because I'm using those numbers. So right now I'm actually adjusting the bearing, even though what you saw was the cross change, because the 2 numbers are tied together. You can't, well, you can get them zeroed. You can get them to perfectly 0, but they affect each other. A little change to one will start to affect the other one. And really, we're just trying to get it close. And I am very convinced now, well, we'll see on this one, I suppose. The range used to pick up, like when you were trying to hit the station, you could hit it like from 400 meters out. I don't think that's the case right now. I think we're going to be within 100 meters before we're actually able to lock onto this. And that's a little daunting to me because, you know, it doesn't give you a lot of time. There it was, 91 meters. It was a little before that. We were moving pretty quick. Now, just to give you an idea of docking speed, we were doing, 45 meters per second there? NASA considers 1/10 of a meter per second an extremely rapid dock. So that, like a dangerous dock, that would be way too fast. So just to give you some concept of you know, the game scale there, we're able to move a heck of a lot faster than what anybody would ever consider safe in the real world for that kind of a maneuver. You know, do what you need to do with that. I'm going to just leave it there. And we have been to a derelict already, so I was a little surprised that we got this message again, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. Welcome to read through it. It's basically like, what have you found? Well, maybe you found a racing skiff. You know, maybe you found a dead freighter. I think in our case, I think if it's the same ship, it should be a dead freighter. And I'm excited about that. So I cheated you a little bit from one thing. Before we actually jump out to here, when we were in this screen, well, no, I'm sorry. That happened because we got the pop-ups. Normally, when you dock with something, you can come to this screen. So we're normally in the dock screen, right? You can switch to nav and you can get a good sense of the size of the ship. You get a good outline of it. You will start to learn what this ship type is based on its size and its shape. There's a few that you will recognize immediately and you'll be like, that's a great ship, or I have no business being connected to this one. There's nothing on this I'm going to ever want. There can be some surprises here and there, but in general, you'll get a feel for it and you'll know this is not worth my time, or heck yeah, this is a heck yeah for me. This is a big heavy tug. So our target is this guy. You can see our big plus sign, right? Or targeting rectangle. And it's identifier. So its call number is B-XLKX. Its name is the Magic Tattoo. It is a heavy tug. It is made by the Rekoya company. It's a TU-44A, and it's 16 meters by 9 meters. We'll call it 10 meters. We're docked to it now. And something else to know, if I mess with my thrusters in that, we will begin to move in space. We don't want to do that. You don't want to be hitting your thrusters while you're connected to a ship, particularly if you don't have a tow bar, and we do not have a tow bar. It will damage your ship dramatically, and to the point that you can breach the hull if you're not careful. So just something to know about there too. Don't be trying to fly your ship while you're connected to another one. You can do it. If we wanted to, we could get it some momentum so that it would potentially crash into the asteroid. If you really wanted to do that, you could shove them together. What I have found is it's best to leave them be. I have more than once tried to take a ship that's way out here and bring it in close so I don't have to go as far and like park it right here. Almost every time I've done that, before I finish fixing up the ship or stripping it or whatever I want to do, it either crashes into the asteroid or it drifts away, and I never see it again. And that has included ships I've purchased. So you spend 1 million credits on a ship, you bring it close to work on it, and you give it a little tweak on accident with your RCS while you're sitting here, and all of a sudden you're hitting the planet or the asteroid, or it's hitting something else, etc. And incidentally, collisions in the game are painful. They will damage your ship. They happen all the time. And there's actually micrometeors that will hit your ship. You'll just be standing here cleaning the floor while you're flying between places, and all of a sudden you'll get an air leak over here. You will generally hear a sound that something happened, and usually, like in that case, you often will get the low pressure system thing, and you'll know something's wrong, and you got to deal with it pretty quickly. Sometimes it's just a bad break and there's nothing you can do and it's game over. Okay, so with all of that said, there's a couple of things I can tell about this ship. First of all, it has some thrusters. We're going to probably want to hang on to one or two of those. I feel like there was something else. If there is somebody on this ship, it's possible you won't see them, but a lot of times they will have a light source. So if you run out here, and we are currently not paused, we're going to go ahead and pause. If we're out here, you will often see them running around the ship. They are not always pirates, but they are almost always pirates. And so that is something to be prepared for. I'm feeling pretty good about this one. I don't think there's going to be anybody on it. Incidentally, I connected to the ship and I was like, wow, that's a good ship. Let's go start recording. So I have not been on this to see anything that's on it. We will know together here in just a minute. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get on my pressure suit. And I think we decided to put it in here. Is that right? It is. Yay. So to do this right, actually not the smartest move, I guess, in a way, because you need 4 slots to really get everything flipped between them because you have the helmet as well. Yeah, and I decided to move this over here, and I'm trying to decide if that's really what I want to do or not. I don't want it right in the middle of the screen because you're often interacting with the middle of the screen. Over here, it gets covered up or covers stuff up. And here it's just, you're losing the entire right side. I don't know. I haven't quite decided where I want that. For now, it could sit down here and it won't bother anybody, right? But when you have the really long dialogues where you're talking to somebody or something, I tend to like to move it around. So we'll put it here for now. We shouldn't get more than like 7 lines. Okay, so here we are. One thing we've learned, you want to put a light in his hand and you want to turn that light on. There it is. And then we do want to put his helmet on. And first pass, we're just going to run around and look at stuff, see what's out there. I am going to put the cutlass in his hand just in case, but I really don't expect there to be anything going on here. And we're going to go in here. Now, here's that thing where we talked about the airlock tax. If we had burst through there, we would have lost some air pressure. You can actually see it still flowing a little bit because there is no pressure or temperature in this place because it is exposed to the vacuum of space. So we do know that. There's no air pressure, there's no temperature. It is possible that it's just old and it's been sitting here a long time, and that's why it feels like maybe that's the case, but I would bet that there's a hole somewhere in this guy. We see, I think that's a turbo pump. Yep, that's worth some money. We know that. We'll want to grab some of those things. Coming up here, I love looking in the crates. You never know what you're going to get. Oh, we get a light. We get an EVA suit battery and another pressure suit that is damaged, but it technically would be sellable. More interesting to me is just having another crate. That's a great thing. And then there's a bed sitting right next to it. That's a rolled up bed. It is not deployed. We would have to deploy it somewhere, but that's good. And it's really a sleeping bag is what it is. Here is the transponder on this ship. It is not damaged, so we're going to leave it alone. Like I said in a previous video, messing with the transponder, 80% of the time, you will destroy it. And we don't want to do that. And this ship has a reactor, and this is fantastic. It's not a complete reactor. There's parts missing. This is where the reactor itself usually sits, and there's nothing there. So it has either been salvaged or it blew up, although we don't see damage, so it probably didn't blow up. But all of these things are pieces of the reactor. There's the pellet feeders, the fusion laser. This is the, I can't remember the names of everything. The reactor fuel itself. There might be a cryo pump or something. That's the laser. So I don't see the cryo pump. There's a couple of other pieces I think that are missing from this. I would bet it was salvaged. But here's the thing. These pieces are worth quite a bit of money, and we're going to want to capitalize on that because we're salvaging. Our salvage license is current, so we're good there. Thrusters, we're going to want to grab this. We want to grab all of it. Here's the one downside. We don't have the space. So what are we going to do? We are going to start to build out our ship, and we're going to do that really, really quickly here. If we don't start it in this episode, it will definitely be the next episode. As we saw, these tanks can go for as much, depending on how full they are, and this one is full, they can go for as much as like $600 to $800 each. That's great. Here's some intakes. Incidentally, if you're looking at intakes, if you're looking at them and they say Kang, those are the normal ones. If you see one that says Hydra, you want to take it and you want to keep it because they are very, very valuable. They are roughly one Hydra can control 4 tanks, and they're basically 25% more efficient. So it's like having 5 Kangs, and that's pretty awesome. Here we're seeing all Kangs, and they do look different. They'll have a different configuration. They're a plus because they can support up to 4 tanks. You don't have to put 4 on them, but you can. Let's see what's around the corner, and his O2 is coming low. So, or I'm sorry, technically it's that his carbon dioxide is high, and we want to alleviate that. So we'll want to look around again, and then what I will do is mark things up for salvaging. The way we deal with this is we literally pop his helmet off. And we saw there, it does not look like anybody's on that ship, so we're just going to put that away for now. Don't want anybody to get hurt. Helmet back on, and we're going to go take another look. Okay, we already looked there. We'll go around this way and see what we find. This is probably where the command and control is over on this side. Maybe not. With the transponder here, you never know. But I will be looking in crates. That one's empty, and it's in really good shape. We'll probably want to take that one. Okay, here is a PDA. These become important, and we will talk about that a little later. But these can have a lot of credits on them. They're effectively, think of it as a, what do I want to say, like a gift card or something. All the banking done, all the money transfers in the future are handled through digital devices, and PDAs literally hold money on them sometimes. And you can also find like blackmail material that you can sell, things like that. These can be very, very lucrative, but you do have to have hacking to be able to access any of that. We do see some food here, and I know we didn't have a whole lot of food, so we're going to go ahead and take that while we can. Here's a plain white t-shirt, not to be confused with the band. And let's see what else we have here. Yet another crate. These D2O tanks, deuterium tanks, are nice, but we will see a lot of them, and we are nowhere near being able to build a reactor. We have quite a ways to go before that will happen. We will probably we would potentially want to sell that, but it's big and we don't have a lot of space yet. So we will be doing that in the next video. We'll start to build out, learn how we can do that a little bit. before we get there, let's finish looking at this bad boy. We're almost through it at this point. Here's a heater. Heaters can be pretty valuable. This one needs to be repaired. And oftentimes the stuff you need to repair something is just sitting right next to it because it got damaged and it fell out. So if we wanted to, we could start to repair this and we might learn what it needs. I did hit repair, can't comply. It's missing a heat sink. So we would need a heat sink before we could fix that. This is an interesting little thing. I'm going to pause here for a second. So we have a bin here. We have the nav station, which those sell really well as well. We'll want to grab that and fix it up. How good it? It is not yet in need of repair, but it does need to be restored. We'll definitely want to grab that. These right here, these are in-floor storage bins. We can walk over these. And why that's important is eventually you're going to want some of these in your ship. Now there's a downside. If we look at its inventory, if we go to inventory here, we will see that this is the space that it would be sitting in. It's inaccessible. And that means we can't put something on that space. I can't set this down there. I can set it down here. We can see it show up there. I can't set it on top of this bin. But this floor bin, if we open it, has 4 spaces. And they have food in them. We can go ahead and grab another one of those. I do not often take all the food that I can. You do need food. It is important, but we will find that buying better food is better for us in the long run, and we'll take that path more often than not. Also, you have limited space still. Okay, so pausing again so we don't run into the CO2 barrier. I just wanted to point out that yes, you can get these, and if you uninstall this, it's empty under it. It's a void at that point. There's no floor under it. So there are these, and then there's also larger ones called, I think they're called cargo holds. And they're bigger, they're much bigger, but they hold 18 slots. So we will eventually be putting those in our ship. They're great to work with. While we're here, let's take a quick look at a couple of more bins. Sometimes you find really interesting things. Incidentally, one of the things you may find is one of these, a permit. And so it is possible that mechanic has changed. The one thing I know is there was a bug for a while where you could buy a permit for $5,000. You could immediately sell it for $5,200 or $5,400, something like that. Yeah, that wasn't working real well. So I don't know when they fixed that, if they removed the ability to sell them at all, because now this one shows up as $0 if we were to try to sell it at the license desk. But you used to be able to find these sometimes, and you could either use them because they were current. You can read them. It's one of the commands here, and it gives you the date and time. So we still have a little time on this one, actually until tomorrow. There's the CO2 alarm. By the way, pausing the game doesn't make the alarm stop. So let's go ahead and go back to the ship here. One more pass. But you could grab those. You could use them if you needed it, or you could sell them, and they sold pretty well. Usually it was a couple of $1,000, even if they only had a couple hours left on them. So that was kind of cool. And we need to take that helmet off. I will say I'm looking forward to being able to afford an EVA suit so we don't have to do that every time. Although once we have seen and learned that once we have him in his auto task mode while he's doing stuff like uninstalling stuff in the pressure suit, he will go and grab air when he needs it. So that's good. And, you know, we could certainly take all this stuff that's in really good condition. It doesn't have a battery. We could sell it all, but you'll learn that, you know, a drill is not worth what some other things might be worth in the long run. Electronic parts, we do know we eventually need some of those. Mechanical parts are important. Right now we need a heat sink if we see one. Here's a motherboard and a motor. I don't see a heat sink. Oh, nope, that's a pump. Oh, well, so that does bring up something else though. The materials that are used to put something together, if you do the dismantle, you get some of those parts. They'll come out with it. When you dismantle it, we might, like if we dismantle a door, we will probably find a motor. And so that's something to note. You may want to pay attention to what components go into what item so that you can do that if necessary and in a pinch. This is a small oxygen tank used in an EVA suit. It is it's pretty full. It's in really good shape. These can develop leaks, and that's something to pay attention to. We don't have an EVA suit yet. They're not terribly expensive. We're going to leave that alone. More interested right now in what we can get from walls and floor on this thing, and I think we can do a lot of damage. So I think that's about it for what's in this ship. I think we've seen everything now. This should be the top side of, yeah, that engineering bay where the reactor was a little bit further down this way. There it is. Okay, so there's plenty of things to uninstall and take and sell, and we're looking forward to that. We will start to do that, but we are also, I just realized one thing about trying to build out our ship right now is we only have the pressure suit. That's not going to really fly for us yet. We're going to need to get an EVA suit. So I think what we'll do is mark where this ship is, and we will loot it, salvage it, however you want to refer to it. It's your game. Uh, we will do some salvage here and sell this stuff. And maybe, if the reactor, we might be able to sell it for enough that we can go and get ourselves an EVA suit, come back, grab floors, grab walls, build one of these out, and learn a little bit more. I did want to find a battery in here, and I don't think we did. Yeah, I don't see one anywhere. Usually they would be in the room with the reactor. The reactor charges the batteries. Once you have a reactor, you do have to buy fuel for the reactor, but your batteries, while it's running, your batteries stay completely charged, and you can turn it off and go on battery power for a while and then turn it back on, things like that. The reactor is required for the torch drive, which is what allows you to move between major system objects like where we are now and Venus, for instance. So that is something we will get to eventually. I think what we'll do for now, though, is I'm going to tag some of this stuff. I'm going to start uninstalling it and head back to the station, and we will pick up in the next episode. So I hope there have been a few things here to learn. Incidentally, racks often have good stuff in them too. This time they just have some scrap, but that's okay. We need scrap eventually. I think we're going to be grabbing a few of these crates and hauling some of that stuff back with us as well. But ultimately, this is the big prize, I think. These pieces here that make up the reactor, we should be able to get several $1,000s off of that, buy an EVA suit, come back, start to expand our ship. One last thing. That is a battery right there. It needs repair, but it is a battery. That we will definitely be taking. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can repair it in place. Okay, so when you repair something on a ship and he starts walking around like this, it means he's going and getting the pieces that he needs to repair it. So he's grabbing a few things, and then once he gets to town on it, which looks like it's about to start, he's repairing it. This battery will be usable for us. Now, right now, it has no charge, but when we go back, we connect it to our ship. We can add charge to it just like we did this one, and that will be fantastic. That is something to pay attention to early in your career. This one is going to take him long enough to fix that we are going to want to disengage that, come down here, get some CO2 relief. But the battery, we have 4 hours of battery here, and we are in accelerated time quite a bit. So we need to be very, very mindful of that. Do not run out of battery power. You got one job, and that is don't run out of battery power. Okay, where are we right now? We are at, we've barely touched it so far, so we're fine. When the ship's not jumping around doing a whole bunch of stuff, we have more, the battery use goes down, and that's great. Come back up here to where we were. I don't remember what I did there. Going to need to be mindful of that. Repair the heater. Yes, we tried repairing the heater. There weren't parts. So that does make some sense. But back in here, that battery, we're going to finish doing that. We are going to grab it. If I can remember where it was. Here it is. We'll finish this up. 16 times speed. Hopefully he can fly through it. We will restore it on our way back to the station so that it is nice and ready to go and ready to have charge ported into it. So this time I think we'll be okay. We want to watch down here. So the CO2 alarm's going off in case you can't hear it. You're feeling vaguely unwell and flushed. That's the first sign that you're starting to get hypoxic in the game. So we do want to disengage this one more time. This is one of the things where an EVA suit, It's got its own oxygen. It's got its own CO2 scrubber. We don't have to worry about it at all. So one last time, we're going to disconnect. Well, cancel the action, and we're going to come in here. Oops, I don't need to hit 1. I just need to click. That was a mistake. Let's undo that. I don't want to accidentally pull the floor out. And then we will open inventory, pop that. Don't hear the rush. Used to hear a whoosh sound when you would do that. And there we go. Let's go back and finish working on that battery and take it out. There's the battery. And repair. Almost done. Speeding up. Say almost done like it's like 3 seconds. It's several more minutes of work, but we'll be okay here. And then I slowing time down, pausing. And the next step is you uninstall it. So we're still on the battery. We're going to uninstall it. This will be our first major prize from this one. Again, this battery has no charge. You will find batteries with charge. And that is something else you can do to extend your flight time. You can kind of count on the generosity of the random number generator that you'll find batteries that are usable. Doesn't happen too often. This time we're going to go ahead and finish uninstalling. It doesn't take as long as the other stuff. You notice we're getting a headache and things like that. So we do need to start getting back. We're going to cancel. We're going to grab the battery, pick it up, and we will drag the battery. That's what you do with the battery. We'll drag it to here. And as soon as he's in here, we're taking his helmet off. Because he is getting kind of, yeah, he's getting woozy. There we go. So he'll be fine now. And we want to find a good place for the battery. If we wanted to, well, it doesn't have any charge. There's no reason to, but you could technically like install it here and just as long as it plugs into a conduit that's live, it'll add its power, but it doesn't have any power right now. So that is kind of an unnecessary step for now. When you're dragging something, you can drop it and it will go to somewhere on the floor. The other thing you can do is physically click it and put it where you want it. So this will drop it in this area here. And there we go. He's good to go. All right, so here's what I think we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and try to salvage what I can off of this ship, and we'll pick back up. Maybe, yeah, well, let's go back to the base. In the next episode, we will pick up with docking with the base again, and then selling the stuff that we do find from here that's going to be valuable. These thrusters are still going to be worth a lot more for our bank account than they would be for our actual use just yet. We will find thrusters everywhere. So we'll probably sell what we do find here because we still need money. We need lots and lots of money. So there you have it. This is my complete beginner's guide to Ostranauts Build 14. I hope you're enjoying this. And I do hope you're enjoying the game. It can be an absolute blast. I do want to thank you for your time this time. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it. It does help me out, but you, of course, are under no obligation. And until next time, fair travels.